please subscribe, hit that like button, and as always, leave a comment, and thank you for enjoying the video.
Shot to right, slicing toward the pesky pole, down the line, and it's going to be out of here! Line down the right field line toward the pesky pole, leaping up, and that ball is gone! That's a home run! A lot of our Nesson team as well. High fly down the right field line, headed toward the pesky pole, that one tucked in, and that ball is going to be against the wall, and into second base. Number retired, and now Rafael Devers trying to retire that baseball inside the pesky pole.
Welcome to another episode 95 of the Pesky Podcast. I'm your host, with me like always is the OG, George Sutherland, and my man, DC, brought to you like always by BSEN, Boston Sports Entertainment Network. George, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Doing well. Getting caught up. It's been a little over a week since I got home from being on the road, so catching up on all those things that need to get done when you get back from any vacation. So all caught up.
Yeah, DC, man, what's been going on with you? Looks like, man, I don't know how you're doing. You must be cool in your basement because I know that it was hot and humid outside today. My sweat had sweat rolling in.
The sun in the dome there, brother.
A good 60 degrees down here, so it feels nice, but it gets a little chilly. But I'm doing well. I'm actually preparing for my own little vacation next weekend, so I'm pretty stoked, man. Doing well though.
Yeah. So, man, tonight, Game 4 of the Tampa series. Things aren't turning out, but they could turn out like George and I was saying about being 2-2. I hate 4-game series, but man, let's talk a little bit about Tanner Houck last night yet again. Like, can these guys do they just not want to hit for him? Do they do errors on purpose? Like, let's sit there and talk over it, and we're going to dive right into first base right away. Last night, Cooper took a step back, waiting for that ball to come over to him, okay? When he should have went, the commentators, the announcers all said it, the play-by-play, he should have went forward to get that ball, and instead, he missed it, it went, over, and that there was just the beginning of downhill. So let's start with you, DC. The play last night over at first, and what can they do? Like, Tanner can't do anything else. 106 pitches last night. He's doing more than his fair share of the workload to help our bullpen. But these guys just they can't do it offensively. They can't do it defensively. So what are your thoughts, DC?
As much as I hate to say it, Bobby D could play defense. You know what I mean? Obviously the offensive production isn't there right now with the two guys, Smith and Cooper. And at this point, play the guy that can play defense or bring Cavadas up. Like you guys, I'm not sure if you guys touched on that in your last show or not, but yeah, it's the small details. They add up. He should have got a quality start. He was a out short, of 6 innings last night. Very winnable game. That inning didn't happen. We could be talking about the Sox win last night. Yeah, but they gotta do the small stuff, and produce at the plate. And like I said, Bobby D can play defense. D for defense, baby. You might as well just bring him back up, give him the reins at first base until Costas is back. Because what do you have to lose? You're gonna get the same offense production with better defense if you have him.
Exactly. Just look at Dominic Smith so far. Batting 167 with five RBIs and a 433 OPS. Like, come on now. Cooper batting 235, 1 home run, 7 RBIs, a 660 OPS. Okay.
Not ideal.
No.
But come on, first base, you're wasting 2 40-man roster spots when you could have easily just have Bobby Dahlbeck up there.
Yeah.
Bobby Dahlbeck's defense but we love Bobby's D at first. So, like, I don't understand why we're gonna sit there and send him down when we could easily have him at first base, play the defense that we need. Like, we are unstoppable when we are errorless. We had 2 errors last night. George, what are your thoughts?
Well, look, they need a DH. Okay, so you need to decide which of those 2 guys is the DH, and maybe spell Bobby at first. But he's done nothing to disprove our theory that his defense is just fine, and he can do it on both corners. So he gives you that. So which one do you is it, Cooper or Smith? Which one do you want? All right, because right now offensively it's a black hole on the right hand side of the diamond. All right, it's like nothing comes in, nothing comes out. It's like the end of the world has shown up over there. So I'd much rather have good defense, to support Devers and Rafaela. I mean, we all know, Bobby's got to see some kind of sports shrink guy. The former players, a couple of former players that do it, go in and talk to him, because that's it. I mean, I can't explain why he can, crucify AAA pitching and then look like he's swinging, with a replica 2-inch bat. When he comes up, he swings and misses at everything. I don't know what the hell he's doing. So, yeah, pick one, bring Bobby back up again. I can deal with him hitting, 117, so long as he makes the plays, because the other 2 are just not cutting it.
Well,
I do have an idea.
Go ahead.
You know what they should do? They should call Oakland and see what Abraham Toro would cost. He can play some first base. He's doing pretty well over there. He's 27 years old, hitting 287 with a 340 on base percentage and a 440 slugging. He's got a little speed too. I don't think he costs too much. I know it's way out in left field, but
somebody. Okay, I mean, Breslow took a flyer on these 2, and you figured one of the 2 would certainly rise above, but neither one has. Like I said, it's a black hole over there. So, what? They need to do something, and right now I can put up with, no hit Bobby. So,
yeah. And George, you said that you needed one of them for DH. And
yeah.
I would personally wouldn't mind rotating DHs. And when Reese McGuire is catching, like Connor Wong. Wong's got that hot bat. Put Rep Snyder in there at DH a little bit. What are your guys' thought process? Because I thought they gave up on him a little too early in the season. Valdez, he could easily come up and play, some DH spot, help you out a little bit. Ref Snyder, can sit there and he can maybe, be able to help you out at first base when Dahlbeck needs a day off. But, you try to, plug and play. We got to get some sort of production, from the first base until Casas comes back. So speaking of Casas, DC, what are your thoughts when you see him doing his, getting his timing down, phantom swinging in the dugout? Like, this man is salivating at, these pitches.
I mean, that's a guy you want on your team. That's a guy that you want to lock up long term. It's apparent. It's very obvious that he cares. He loves playing baseball. It's his life. It's a shame he's not out there right now. But yeah, you gotta love that as a teammate. You gotta love that as a fan, and you gotta love that as a front office and manager. He wants to be out there, and I mean, if you can do everything you can to stay prepared as far as keeping your timing. I know it's a lot different when you're at the plate, but I don't know, I thought that was cool to see. I know there was some talk on Twitter. Was a Jay Hay kid. He wasn't a fan of it, saying it was annoying, but I think it's the exact opposite. That is exactly what you want, especially from a young guy. You know, it's just, I don't know. I fucking loved it.
I don't understand how someone can say it's annoying. Like, it doesn't draw attention. The cameraman's not going over, panning over to him like during a pitch. Like, how can that be annoying? You know?
I think he said it was annoying. It should be annoying to the teammates, but man, you're doing everything you can to win and stay on top of the game. I would think they would appreciate it and respect it.
My question is, why isn't everybody else doing it? Like, you know, you're trying to sit there. We are at a lackluster, shitty offense right now. Like, absolutely, you know, O'Neill is in a huge slump. That's why I didn't take him or want him in the trade, DC, on our fantasy game. But, you know, when's he going to pull out of it? We don't know, you know. But he's got to work through that. And George and I talked a little bit with Justin on Monday, and I sit there and went back to the hitting coach. And, you know, Justin's like, you can't blame the hitting coach, really. Who else am I to blame? He's the one that has to get these people situated and help them work through their slumps to come out the other end. Like Breslow and Andrew Bailey, they worked with this pitching staff, and it shows 100%. So now it's all on the hitting coach. DC, well, what are your thoughts on that?
I definitely think some blame falls on the hitting coach, for sure. You got to get the guys prepared. You got to, you know, you have hitters meetings before every game and for the approach, but I think a lot of it, you know, falls on the players as well. I'm not saying the hitting coach isn't, you know, responsible. Obviously, he has a responsibility, and it's not working. So I don't know if the approach needs to be changed, but you know, you're a professional hitter and you're at that plate. You need to make adjustments on your own as well. So I think it's 50-50 there.
Yeah, it seems to me this Boston Red Sox team, if they were at a blackjack table, they couldn't get a hit if they had a 5. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, we're good, we're staying, because they don't know how to get a hit. You know, we have left so many men on base. Like, it's embarrassing. Like, this is something I would expect from watching the. Let's see. Well, I don't know what you want to call them. The Oakland, soon to be Las Vegas, but we're going to take a pit stop down in Pasadena. You know, Athletics. You know, the Colorado Rockies. You know, the Miami Marlins. These are the things I'm seeing from them, not from the Boston Red Sox. And our pitching, and George and I, and we were talking about it. Our pitching can't hold us forever. You know, we got the number one pitching staff in baseball tonight. And DC, I do want to get your thoughts. George and I already talked about it a little bit before, but you know, Cooper Criswell is pitching tonight, pitching amazing, 2-1 with a 2.10 ERA for us as the number 5 starter, filling in for Whitlock. So, what are your thoughts, DC, on what they should do with Whitlock and Criswell when they do come back?
Oh, yeah, I've been toying around, or messing around with this in my head. Criswell has been pitching phenomenally. It's a guy that how long is it going to stand? I know that could be a little cop out. I would personally put Whitlock back in. Build him up. You want him as a starter. That's the move at the beginning of the year. Yeah, I'd say, and then keep Criswell as long relief and spot start. I mean, obviously we see how much injuries pop up, so I think there's going to be a need, eventually, probably often, unfortunately. But I would personally put Criswell back in the pen, and it pains me to say that. I don't say that with any desire.
Yeah, I said let Whitlock in the bullpen and let Criswell lose his job.
Or trade Jansen and put Whitlock as a closer. That's what I'm for.
Yeah. George, what were your thoughts again?
Well, this season seems to roster moves sometimes work their way out for other reasons. I'm not a big 6-man rotation guy. I know that's getting floated everywhere and it's gotten some support, but I think that there's an opportunity here to ease Whitlock back into the rotation. How through 100 and something pitches, they probably want to give him a little bit of time off. Okay. Get some rest. I mean, Bayo's coming back. He's going to get himself squared away. Pavetta's coming back. I don't expect them to be as strong as they were. So there's enough arm strength there to make something happen. So somebody missed a turn in the rotation, you could fill that in. I think that's probably the most likely thing. So, I mean, I've always felt that Whitlock is better out of the pen. He's demonstrated that, but he came out of the spring, house of fire, and won the starting job. So, I'm still. I hate to use this analogy. It's kind of like the Chris Sale watch was for us last year. You keep waiting for him to break down because he just, I don't call him fragile, but it's like stupid stuff happens to him, and it's kind of, it hasn't caused him to totally regress, but it hasn't helped the progress any either. And when he's on, but little stupid shit happens to him, and I can't put my finger on it. He's just one of those guys that just, it's an oblique, it's it's his back, it's his forearm, whatever, and he just seems to go down. So yeah.
So I want to talk about Jarren Duran and how much he has turned it around from last year to this year. So I'm watching him play center field now while we have Rafaela playing shortstop. And it seems to me he's getting a better look at the ball, a better jump on the ball, and he's using his speed to his advantage. So, DC, what are your thoughts when you're seeing, Jarren Duran out there defensively, and then we'll talk to George about what he sees offensively?
He just seems a lot more comfortable. We all remember that play against the Blue Jays last year. It really, it was a tough one for him. He's been very vocal about his mental health, small things like that, especially when you're getting attacked by the fan base that you play for. I can only imagine what that does to somebody that deals with that on a daily basis. It just seems like he's using his range to his advantage. He's getting better reads of the ball. He's in a 97th percentile for range as far as defensive fielding. Just so much more comfort. You can tell that he is oozing out of him. He had a couple, botched plays early in the season. He was obviously visibly upset with himself, but he's responded so much better. I don't know if that's, just overgrowth with himself or, if he's getting support from his teammates and as well as his coaching staff, but just the comfort level has been awesome. It's admirable, dealing with that kind of stuff. I know it's not really talked about as much as it should, mental health, but for him to come around and turn around and maybe, spending a lot of time with Rafaela, maybe they're, sharing tips together. Obviously, Rafaela is an amazing, fielder, whether he's at shortstop or he's in the outfield. And that could only do good, having another guy like that around you. Doesn't have to be a veteran guy, that teaches you something. So maybe they're spending time together. But yeah, just overall, it just he feels at home. He feels good. He looks good. And I like George is going to touch on, I think him producing at the plate, he might not have the best eye-popping numbers, but he's a table setter of that team. And I think that also, that plays a role in his confidence out in the defensive part of the game.
Yeah. So far, last night he had 2 doubles. He's still making, singles look like go into doubles easily. He's had 1 home run. He's stole 9 bases, 16 RBIs. George, what do you see differently at the plate?
He's turned himself into a pretty decent leadoff hitter. Like to open the game last night, he doubles, he goes to third and scores. there's 2 outs and you're already ahead in the ball game. He's been in a little bit of a semi slump, and he looks like as though he's coming out of it. He's going to be a little bit of a streaky hitter, but speed kills, man. I mean, when most people think there's a double and he thinks he's got a triple, when he kicks it into that high gear, it's noticeable. Like when he thinks he's going for third and he rounds first base and he's halfway to second base, you can see the gears turn and he just picks it up a notch. I mean, he's got outstanding speed, and he's learning to use it right. Would I like to see him drop a bunt down every now and then to kind of keep the infield honest? Yeah, but right now he's doing the job as a leadoff hitter, and nobody's going to hit 350 all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I like what he's doing. I like one thing I'll say is there was a play late in the game last night where the ball was hit to left center field, and he would look like he was shot out of a cannon and went over and made a great play on that.
That was like, I think, the late 8th inning.
Yeah, the 8th inning. Yeah, when he was in full gallop, and like he said, "I'm getting this ball," and in his past, he hasn't always made the best reads, but this year he's improved on that. He still makes mistakes. There was a play when he was in left field the other day that I think he misjudged the wall. The ball ended up over his head. He's still a work in progress, but he's a hell of a lot better than he was. And I think, man, and DC's right. Maybe he's working with Raffaello, just saying, "Hey, man, I look for this," and just by talking to other players, sometimes you pick things up. Maybe that's the case. I don't know. It was a very good thought, though. I wouldn't be surprised because both of them are affable people. So, not a big deal. But yeah, he's turned into a good leadoff hitter. And listen, he's hitting 280 something as a leadoff take. I'll take that every day.
Okay, DC. I made one of my rash statements this past Monday.
Oh boy.
I said Jarren Duran All-Star. So DC, Jarren Duran, you think he's gonna make the All-Star team?
No.
No? George?
No hate. No hate.
No.
But
no. It's just there's too many other players that would post him, There's a lot of good outfielders in the American League. So
that'd be awesome to see. But I think if he maintained his early start, hot start for like maybe a couple more weeks, he'd kind of have that recency bias, going into it. But he's a very good player. Just right now, I don't think he's producing all-star numbers.
Okay, well, we're going to switch gears here to all-star numbers and the feel-good story so far for the Red Sox. We're going to talk about Cam Bouger. And last night he came in, pitched 2 shutout innings, 4 strikeouts. And that handlebar mustache is looking very, very sexy, as we should say. So far he's been in 11 games this season, 2.63 ERA and 7 strikeouts with a sub 1 ERA. George, what are your thoughts then with Cam Bouger and the feel-good story there that he has been able to bring to the Red Sox?
It's hard not to love it. I mean, he's a guy that was out of baseball, banging nails and, cutting wood. Figures that he can still come back and does come back and makes it to the bigs at 31 years old. How can you not like that? And then it's not as though he came in and kind of had one great outing, and kind of faded into the sunset. He's been good. He's been good. He's been consistent. He's, like I said, 2-something ERA is not shabby, and he knows his role. And I think he has trust in himself, and I think Cora's starting to show some trust as well. I'm loving it every time he comes out on the mound, because he gives hope to those guys that are putting in their time. Say, I just need a break. So good for him. I'm happy for him. And hey, listen, he's helping the team and doing a pretty good job at that. So
Yeah, DC.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't love an underdog story? You know what I mean? It's crazy to me that he's 31, because I don't mean this in a rude way, but that dude looks like he's 40. But that's a irrelevant subject. But yeah, I mean, he doesn't have the hardest fastball, but he gets it around 95. He doesn't walk guys at all. He's had a few, like three or four appearances of allowing a run. The most he's allowed in a appearance was 2. Just a great story. It's awesome to see. See a guy that fights his way through the minors and he's doing stuff outside of baseball, comes back and he's pitching in meaningful situations. I mean, yeah, they were down last night, but they were down a run at one point, correct? When he was pitching. So it's not like, he's getting thrown in there, for some garbage time. Those are times where you need pitchers to come in and get some big outs. And he did just that with 2 innings last night and 4 strikeouts. Huge addition for an already strong bullpen.
The last time I saw, somebody who's kind of captured the fans, like this is probably like when Daniel Nava came up, right?
Yeah.
Different position. He's a position player. Takes the first pitch he sees and drives it into those seats for a grand slam. But that's a good story. And guys who just don't give up. Or he did, but he kind of said in the back of his mind, he said, "I can do this. I can do this." And he went out and he did it. So it's a great story, and you can't not love a guy like that, and pull for him. And if this is all he does, and he comes in and gets 1 year out of it, good for him. Or if he ends up being found money, that works too.
Yeah, he's definitely earned himself a contract for next year if he continues this pace. I mean, just a cool story. Glad to watch it.
Yeah, Schreiber-esque.
Yeah. So we're smack dab in the middle of the 13 game stretch that we're playing, and we're going up next against the St. Louis Cardinals, who we're quite familiar with when it comes to World Series in recent years. So 20 years since the 04 team, we played St. Louis and swept them in the World Series. Before we talk about the upcoming series, let's sit there and talk about, everybody's going to sit there and remember back to Folk, Keith Folk getting the last out and the place going electric. But what other memories do you guys remember from the 04 World Series?
The Mark Bellhorn home run in Yankee Stadium. What game was that? Was that game 6 or was that game 7?
7.
I mean, just the World Series
against St. Louis. Series?
Yeah.
Bro, that was a long time ago.
For most people, it is Folk.
Yeah.
And everything else is just absolutely, oblivious to the rest.
Yeah, I mean, it was almost anticlimactic after what they did to come back and win the Yankee series to get to the World Series. When coming back down 3-1 and the way they did it, considering how bad Game 3 was. I mean, but yeah, you gotta love it. It was the audition for Edgar Renteria playing shortstop eventually. But and one of Theo's greatest moves. But I mean, the Cardinals are one of those teams that they always have decent pitching and they can field the ball, and their fan base is extremely loyal and one of the nicest fan bases in the planet. So you're very knowledgeable. You're very knowledgeable, but you never hear booing is something that just doesn't happen a lot in St. Louis. So yeah, that's 2004. I don't remember much other than Renteria and Folk and that. Like I said, the World Series is kind of anticlimactic in many respects, because the monkey had been lifted off the Red Sox back by torching the Yankees the way they did, in games 5, 6, and 7. So,
Well, let's go through. Let's see if we can jog some memories. It was Terry Francona for the Red Sox, Tony La Russa for the Cardinals.
oh yeah,
So, man, I can't remember. Scott Rowland was on the Cardinals. Larry Walker was on the Cardinals.
Jim Edmonds.
Jim Edmonds, yeah.
He scared the hell out of me.
Manny Ramirez was the MVP of the World Series. Well, actually, DC, you were correct. Game 1 of the World Series, Mark Bellhorn helped the Red Sox win with a go-ahead home run in the 8th. So, yeah.
Hey, look at that. That's what I think about. This is totally off topic. We'll get right back on the rails, I promise. Have you ever looked at Manny Ramirez's 1999 numbers?
Mm-mm.
Dude, they're absolutely insane. He had 44 home runs. He hit 339. He had 131 runs and 165 RBIs. And he was third in AL MVP voting. Sorry.
Who won it that year?
Pudge Rodriguez.
Really? With numbers like that, you would sit there, but 9 times out of 10, Pudge played for Texas, so it probably goes off the team.
Yeah.
Red Sox were horrible in '99.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring it up. I like to go on Baseball Reference and look at stats, and Manny is my favorite player of all time. And I just wanted to bring it up. You said his name and it made me think of it. So my bad.
Yeah. The game 1 in the 6th and the 8th inning were the only 2 times the teams were tied in the whole World Series. Like, that was absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Game 1. Keith Folk won. And we won 11-9. That was absolutely crazy. Then, game 2, Schilling went out there and picked 6. We won 6-2. Game 3, Pedro went out there and just shut him out for 7 innings. We won 4-1. And then, of course, Derek Lau, Keith Folk with the save, 3-0 St. Louis. That besides game 1, there really wasn't much of a fight put up by St. Louis in 04 World Series whatsoever.
Derek Lowe lived to win playoff games. He was nails in playoffs.
Oh yeah.
Okay, quick question. And this is going to be off the topic. Who would you rather have pitching for you Game 7 World Series? Derek Lau or Josh Beckett?
I'd take Beckett over Lowe.
Yeah.
Prime Beckett he's the reason he was a huge reason we won in 2007. He was disgusting.
I absolutely love how they just threw in Mike Lowell in that trade. Like, and didn't think nothing of it. And he was amazing at third base for us. So, but let's get back on the St. Louis track. Game 1, we got Bayo coming back out. I think our pitching this week goes Bayo,
Crawford,
Cutter, and then Pavetta.
Yeah.
Yep. So, it's the second time around for Bayo since he came back. It'll be the third time around for Pavetta.
I think second, right?
No, I think he just
pitched. Or is it the third?
He just pitched in Tampa.
Yeah, he pitched it I think 5-2. I think you're correct.
That's number 3, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. And I still don't understand why they went and pulled him. I think it was Tuesday night.
Yeah, 2 days ago.
Yeah, I don't understand why they pulled him. Like he was he was only had 86 pitches, and he was willing to give more. Like, and he was cruising through. So, what are your guys' thoughts on, what to expect out there in St. Louis, with Bayo, Crawford, and of course, Pivetta?
I think Bayo comes out and pitches well. I like to see him be able to strike some more guys out. But, I mean, on the other side of that, he does get a lot of ground balls, which is huge. I mean, throwing your sinker probably like 40% of the time is huge. Yeah, I don't know. I want to see him go deeper. I know he just came off the injured list, sorry. But I want to see some more strikeouts. He's got some great drop with some of his pitches. I think it would all equal out. But yeah, I'll let George take the rest though. Sorry, George, I jumped in there.
No harm, no foul, man. I think that Bayo should be fine. He wasn't the sharpest he's been, but he's been the least sharp of all the starting pitchers. I think he's been, but he's winning, so you can let a lot of that pass. I mean, look at what's happened to Houck. Houck is having pitching great games when they can't score a run to save his life. So they're scoring for him. It happens. Baseball's a screwy sport like that. I mean, the Cardinals. For the money they went out and they try to piece together a rotation, it hasn't really paid off a whole lot for them, right? I mean, right now I think if I'm not mistaken, Sonny Gray's there leads the team in wins. Kyle Gibson's 2-2, Lance Lynn's 1-2, Sonny Gray's 5-2. Nicholas is 3-5. They're I think close to 10 games under 500. So, this is a team that's hurting. This would be the time to go in there, and take use Crawford, Pivetta, and Bayo, and just kind of dominate. But that goes with the proviso that the team starts swinging the bat and start stringing base hits together. I think I said the other night, Bradley start with ground balls up the middle. So this team needs to do that to get off, because the St. Louis Cardinals are one of those teams you can get well fast on. Just got to do it.
Well, George, let's sit there and put good juju. DC, George came up with another great thing this past episode, where we went from going totally nasty to George is helping people become slump busters. So he's I'm going to predict this right now, George. And we're gonna talk slump buster here.
38-25. Here we go.
Tyler O'Neill is going to bust his slump when he goes back to St. Louis, and he's going to go off, and it's going to be fantastic, because he needs something, and maybe a trip back to St. Louis is something that you can help him become a slump buster with, George.
Yeah, because the whole O'Neill home run. So hasn't been too hot lately, and then boom, he goes off.
Man,
that's
gold.
Yeah.
I can see him kind of like, I'll show you, and kind of make the St. Louis fans wish he was back. But yeah, I can see him doing that. You show me a player that's played for another team that doesn't want to show the team that got rid of him, particularly in the trade. Hey, this is what you could have had. I can see him. I can see him going off for a couple of home runs, and
Well, we already seen that and felt that effect going down to Atlanta with Chris Sale when he pitched against us. That was absolutely that was a big FU game in my opinion of here we go. So the rotation now is almost back to, pre-injury status. And I want to get your guys' thought on Nicky Pivetta. So Pivetta, if we stay, just around the 500 mark, and there's no way that we're going to sit there and pay for him next year. No way. Absolutely to extend him. Do you guys see a possible trade at the deadline to try to, bolster our roster? Do you sit there and see them just let it play out and, see if Pivetta wants to come back?
I don't know. I mean, I think, if you're playing, 500 a little bit above, I think you're still within the wild card. I want to say, after the last few years and the lack of action and, disdain from the fan base, that maybe they'll learn. I don't know what Craig Breslow is thinking. I don't know what he's like at the deadline. So I think it's kind of tough to say, but I mean, if you're definitely below 500, I think you entertain it, as much as I don't want to see that happen. But I think if you're 500 or, above 500 a little bit, I think you roll with them. And I think you try to make a run, and maybe bolster up their lineup like you did in, the last few years. But yeah, I mean, that's tough. I want to see Craig Breslow in action at the deadline and see what he's all about. But you're also banking on the ownership of ponying up some money for a guy that's been pretty big for you the last few years, as far as eating innings and all that. And I don't know. I've been optimistic the last few years with this ownership, and I'm dwindling that faith because I haven't seen it. So hopefully I'm wrong.
Yeah, with starting pitching, like I'm in my mind, I'm looking at it as, okay, if we don't re-sign Pivetta, who do we got to replace him? Even if we come back with the same rotation, we're still missing because you can't keep on counting on Cooper Criswell,
Right.
to do what he's doing. So we're still missing. Is there someone down in AAA? They're stretching out Winkowski. So because Winkowski gets stretched out, Whitlock pitches after him. So like, do we sit there and try to bring Winkowski up, like, to be the fifth? Like, do we go out and try to sign someone? It's something that it's a sticky situation. But then again, I'm thinking, because I seen people, on Twitter tweeting about possibly with Breslow and Bailey being there, is this more of a better destination now for pitchers, that they see what's happening, and when they see, they completely turn this rotation around. So would there be more of an interest of them coming in? I also seen Jared Carabas tweet out that Jonathan Montgomery would be our number 4 starter right now. Maybe bullpen piece, comparing his
Good Montgomery.
comparing him to our rotation, which is quite absolutely funny. So, but George, what are your thoughts then?
Well, no secret, I've been openly a huge Nick Pivetta fan for a long time. Okay, love the guy. He's got heart, soul, and determination. There's no better gamer you want in the mound. He's just ferocious competitor. If you're 500 or above, why would you trade him? He's obviously going to be a key piece to that. And if you're trying, the only way you do that is if you decided that you're going to throw in the towel and accumulate additional assets. All right. And you have to look around and say, okay, who wants Pivetta at the deadline? Who's going to risk, say, okay, I'm going to take him. And who's your trade partner? All right. The lead teams in baseball, you got the Dodgers, the Braves. You wouldn't send them to the Yankees. Okay. So the Dodgers and the Braves. Who do you have? Who do you want? The Red Sox really don't have depth at the starting rotation in the minors. Winkowski is that depth right now. All right. Fitz looks like he's going to be ready, but it's not this year. All right. And they got Dobbins and a couple of other guys, but they're not. They're nowhere near seeing Fenway Park.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see them doing it. Now, if they suddenly start laying an egg and they're, they go into a huge slump, then I see them doing something like that because they're going to try to get something for him because he's a valuable asset. There are a lot of teams who would love to have Nick Pivetta as their number 5, or swingman. I mean, he's shown he can do both. One thing's for certain, Craig Breslow is going to do something, whether it be something huge or not. But you will not see the analysis paralysis that you saw in the last 2 years, from Chaim Bloom. It's not in him. Okay. Breslow sees a problem and tries to fix it. That's why, Cooper and Smith are here because he realized he had to do something because there was no backup plan for Casas. All right. There was none. And as far as Kavadas goes, I don't think he's quite ready. I mean, the numbers seem to dictate that he can kill a fastball, but he can probably, do great harm to his swing. If you keep feeding him the breaking stuff. I mean, it depends on where they are. If they're if they're still in the hunt for a wild card, no, because what are you going to get back from? What's going to make you that much better that you can live without Pivetta as one of your 5 starters and a veteran guy at that? So, I don't see it happening. I'm probably my judgment's probably clouded because I love the guy. So, take that with
you. Trade deadline comes. Okay, say we get Casas back, and he's producing like he should. We're in the wild card. Name that one trade. Now, and this is going to be completely off topic. That one trade piece that you could trade for that would sit there and help us get the rest of the way. Whoever wants to go first.
I'll go first. I think that the player that gets moved is Kenley Jansen. I think the Red Sox can fill in the closer role with a couple of different guys and do it effectively. And somebody who thinks that they also stand a chance but needs a closer, send Kenley and his balky back and his attitude that seems to be blown with the wind. And get it. Go get something for him. Another bat, a right-handed bat and a good one, maybe. Or set yourself up down the road for, that somebody that just needs a change of scenery. But I can see Kenley being that guy.
Well, and don't forget, George, we got a possible closer coming back, sometime possibly all-star with Liam Hendricks.
Liam Hendricks, yeah.
So and me I don't care what people say. I still would love Bernardino as I think he could possibly be the 8th, and then you could move Martin, and have Martin and Hendricks both close games out.
Martin, Hendricks, Whitlock, if things don't go there. Winkowski, even he's got the 1 inning setup stuff. The kid, I think that has closer potential, at least down the line, is Slayton. He's been able to shrug off the bad outing and come back. I think AC doesn't do him any favors when he brings him out for a second inning, but I think that there's a possibility. But yeah, the movable piece, in my opinion, is Kenley.
Okay. DC, who are you thinking?
I was going to say the same thing, Kenley. I think we have enough assets in the bullpen to absorb that loss, and it honestly might be in a better situation. Obviously, a great closer in his career. Like George said, his attitude's all over the place. And I'm not really a big fan. I mean, even people in life, I'm not a big fan. You know, you mess up and you blame it on something else. Oh, these balls suck. I get it, but everybody else is pitching with those balls too. You know what I mean? Just not a fan. There's a lack of accountability there. The whole thing with his back, and he woke up one day and he wasn't feeling well. I don't know. That could fall in Red Sox too for not handling it the best way they could. They should have put on the IL if that was the case. But
Right.
If you're a major league player and you're not on the IL, I think you need to be pitching in the biggest moments of the game when you're a closer, when you're that established as a closer, and how many saves you have. I don't know if it's blown over from the offseason. Obviously, he was very vocal about the lack of moves, and I don't know what's going to happen type thing. I think he's the biggest piece to move. He's paid a lot of money, and you're paying a guy that kind of money for an inning, how many games a year. You got to go out and pitch and not blame it on anybody else but yourself. Shit happens, but are you taking accountability for it? And I just don't think he has that right now.
I had a half thought the other night when the Red Sox ended up winning the game in 12 that, both their catcher, they had to put Wong in the catcher and then it gets hit in the hand. And I'm thinking to myself, now there's one guy sitting that they could have helped him out and he could have jumped up, but he had already pitched. And that's Kenley. How much of a team player are you? Started out as a catcher. He emerges as a catcher. They're going, well, I don't know, Romy Gonzalez. Oh, good. Yeah, there's a solution right there, right? But yeah, you're right. His attitude sucks. I don't know what's going on with him. Is he trying to shoot his way out of town? I have no idea.
Could be. Greg, you brought up that Wong when he got hit by the pitch. Josh, I thought of you, Britt. I thought of you. I was like, I just traded you, Wong, and I was like, I'm going to feel terrible. Well, I mean, as a Red Sox fan, but for that too. So thankfully that all worked out because I was wondering who was going to come in.
Yeah, that was scary. I'm like, ooh, that got him right in the back of the hand. That's got to sting, or he's going to start swelling up. He's a tough kid.
So let's reverse that real quick for the last segment. And who do we go out and get? What position do we go out and get if we're in it at trade deadline time?
Ooh. I'd say a DH, right-handed bat.
Yeah.
I don't have a name, on the top of my head. I don't know. There's a lot of things that play into that. Obviously, who's where at what time at one point, where who has expiring contracts, who's unhappy. I'm just not up to date on that. But I think a right-handed bat, they don't have to play defense. Put him in DH. God knows what's going to happen with Yoshida.
If Toronto continues to suck, I'd say that right-handed bat is Justin Turner.
I thought for sure DC would have went Tim Anderson because he's on the Marlins and they are absolutely atrocious this year.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what's happening to him. He got punched in the face, and even before then, he was a little not succeeding at the plate. And
but he's a case. Another one of those, between the ears, sometimes when he tips his head to the side, you can hear the marble roll. He's not, I'm sorry, but God blessed him with talent, but didn't bless him with brains.
Yeah.
Yeah. Me, I would go after shortstop. I think that your best asset would be if Casas is at first and he's healthy, Wong behind the plate, Devers at third. Hopefully Grissom is, catching up to speed. Get somebody to play shortstop, put Sedone back out in center field. Then you got Abreu and Duran. And then, you got your right-handed bat with Paul O'Neill. You can switch him out with Abreu, for DH. Overall, I just think we got to have the best outfield available. but we got to have somebody at shortstop. 1 year, expiring contract will be perfect for us because we do have Marcelo Meyer in the wings, and we got Trevor Story already. But then again, if you think about it, you say we bring in a shortstop that's young, we still let Marcelo, develop. Next year, you could always put Trevor Story over at second base, and let Vaughn Grissom actually, mature a little bit more, because he's, I know AC's, I don't know if you want to say making excuses, but dropping 14 pounds, after he got sick in this, that 14 pounds, that's a lot, and it can cause fatigue and everything. I personally would go after a shortstop, because there's so many things now next season where you can move Story, you can, put Grissom on the bench for now, because Grissom is still young. He's not the, he's not going to be Dustin Pedroia, overnight. But heck, maybe we can even get Petey to try to play, a little second base for us when he comes and gets inducted into the Red Sox Hall of Fame. So,
I think Grissom turns it around. I think with some at bats and some playing time. I mean, he had a really, really weird spring training, but
he didn't really have one.
I mean, he didn't have one. You're right. He had a minor league rehab for basically his spring training. I think he turns it around eventually. He's shown, in a smaller sample size, but he's shown that he can hit the ball. Yeah. But I do like shortstop though. That'd be sweet, depending who we got. But then you also can you move Trevor Story? With that contract. How many years are left? 3? 4?
Yeah, this is year 3. Yeah, so he's got 3. So you got to sign a deal. Yeah.
Can you move him? And if you do move him, how much are you eating? Do you really want to? I agree, but I guess it all would have to depend on who we get and how much we have to give for them, and then contingency plan in the back for Trevor Story. But as we've seen with this team this year, injuries happen once a week, it feels like, and you're moving guys like crazy. So I don't know. Yeah. I don't hate it though.
So, okay, guys, any final thoughts? George, start with you.
Yeah, second base is starting to concern me. Grissom is, I'll give him credit. He didn't get a full spring training, and, he had his minor league rehab, and that was his spring training. I need to see a little bit of offense coming from him, because if you're going to throw David Hamilton out there as a semi-platoon, unless Hamilton suddenly, finds a way to start dropping in some base hits, at second base, we already have a problem at first. The right-hand side of that infield is starting to look pretty paltry. So
yeah,
they got to do something. They have to figure that out.
I don't understand why, with Hamilton's speed, why don't they test the catcher, test the pitcher, drop a bunt, right up the third base line, drop the bunt right up the first base line, test them, he's got that speed, and put it to use. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, DC, any final thoughts?
Not really. Excited to see how they close out this series. I think it's a big series coming up. I think you need to take advantage of a not so great team. These are the series where you kind of make up for the games that you lost. Not in the best spot right now. I mean, they're playing 500 ball. You know what I mean? Granted, they have a lot of injuries, but it doesn't matter at the end of the day. You gotta come up and play. You gotta make this. Actually, I do have one thing. Drive the goddamn men that are on base in. It is consistently at least 9, 10, 11 left on base in the last few weeks, and it's just you got to drive guys in. You got to have situational hitting. You got to do it, or you're going to lose these games. These games that they've lost, 1, 2 runs, they were winnable. They were well within reach, if not even they were an inch away from their face, and they just kind of fall flat on their face and shit the bed when it comes to making those guys come in. That's my biggest gripe right now. But it's a long season. We're only in the middle of May. We have a lot of time left. But like I said, series like the ones that are coming up are the ones that we need to take advantage of. I'd love to see a sweep. I think that would be huge because you play the Rays again right after this, don't we?
Yeah.
And I don't know about the Rays. I feel like we always have trouble with them. You know what I mean? So we'll see what happens.
With the Rays, I've noticed that team lives and dies with Yandy Diaz. If he gets going, that whole team rallies around him.
Oh,
you know
yeah.
what I mean? And
Yeah, he's a stud, dude. He can hit. He can rake.
So we got to sit there and learn how to stop him. DC, I'm going to piggyback off of what you said there instead of going the other side. We are, I think it's 36 runs we have given up to opponents off of errors, the most in Major League. We are second most in Major League in strikeouts. Like, what happened to that 2018 plate discipline we had where we were taking walks more than we were striking out? Like, we've got to get back to the basics on hitting, drive people on, and stop making errors, because that we don't have no one there. You don't have Feebles there at third base to blame, for base running blunders. We don't have the pitching coach from last year to blame him. Yeah, Bush. We don't have him to blame anymore. Like, we got to man up and we got to sit there and take care of these mistakes themselves. So that's my final thoughts. So make sure you head on over to YouTube, BSEN 617. Make sure you subscribe. Man, Bruins hockey tomorrow night. George, I know DC, you could care less.
If I was an NHL fan, I would root for the Bruins, but I never really got into it. I hate to say that.
We need to step it up more now than ever. But the Celtics are waiting, so the Bruins, they got to step it up and show that fight that they have. And if we can't win, we beat the crap out of them. That's all I ask. I love hockey for that. Settle it, boom, penalty box. Okay, you come back out and it's done. So, but make sure you sit there and follow us. This will drop tomorrow morning on all major platforms. But for the OG and for DC and myself, check us out next time on the Pesky Podcast.